The blank screen, the untouched running shoes, or the unfinished task list. Any attempt to start something remotely creative or productive is often stalled by an invisible barricade, a hurdle that stops us from jumping onto the first step and gaining some flow or momentum. It haunts us with guilt, prevents us from progress, and keeps us cuddled under our blankets. But there's a very specific reason to this, and the answer to the problem lies in the book The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, arguably one of the best books I've ever read in my life so far. In this book, Pressfield states that there is some sort of a psychological force called resistance that is actively working against us, injecting itself into every progressive decision to be made, and pulls us back from doing the things that we want to do. But to break it down in very simple terms, imagine that there's you, a normal fellow who wants to work, who wants to have a hobby or two on the side, and then there's this other guy who exists inside of you who will pull you in the exact opposite direction and keep constantly letting you know that this can always be done tomorrow. That guy inside of you is resistance. Now the bad news here is that the confrontation with this guy is inevitable and all of us have to face him. But the good news is that there are some hacks that the author puts forth into overcoming resistance that I want to talk about in this video that appeal to me the most. Rule number 1, visualize.
How does visualization help with that?
It is everything for me.
It's been proven through science and research that the brain has the power to move you when your body can't. But what does it mean to let your brain visualize, and how is that even possible? You might have heard of this famous experiment by Australian psychologist Alan Richards in 1967. Essentially what he did was he went and visited a college campus and gathered the college basketball team and divided them into 3 groups. Group number A was to come to court every day for 20 minutes and shoot hoops. Group number B was not supposed to come to court, but just visualize of themselves shooting hoops of the basketball. And group number 3 was instructed not to come to court and not to visualize. Now, after 30 days of this, the results were startling. Group number A had a 24% accuracy. Group number B, who weren't instructed to come to court, but just were thinking about shooting hoops, had an equal 23% accuracy with Group A. After years and years of psychological research, a research paper was published which said, when we visually emotionalize something, our brain sends out an impulse that instructs our neurons to perform that act, even if our body remains still. This, in turn, creates a neural pathway which trains our body to perform the visualized action. Now, applying this principle not just on a larger scale but on a daily, very basic level has benefited me immensely. For example, if I'm on like a client presentation, I'll just think of myself as Steve Jobs for that meeting alone. Or for example, if I'm at the gym, I'll deliberately wear tight t-shirts, maybe a hat, and then go flex in the mirror for a little bit. And that oftentimes is enough for me to kind of get going. Or even when I'm playing video games, which I'm highly competitive at, I'll just visualize an arena and all of my college mates are playing against another college and we have to beat them, and all of the chicks and the girls that I wanted to impress are watching on the big screen, so I kind of better not mess up. I mean, kind of cringy, agreed, but it works and it overpowers resistance and gets you into flow. Now, rule number 2, use resistance as a decision-making tool. It's funny how resistance works because by logic, the more attracted we are to something, the more unresistive we are supposed to be towards it, right? But one thing that the author highlights in the book is that the more resistive your mind and body feels to a task, the odds are the more important it is. And if you feel like you're moving away from it due to resistance, it's likely that you're rationalizing the problem. Now, what does that mean? Now, the more I think of this rationalizing problem, the more and more truer it is. I recently had an experience even this morning where I didn't work out for the last 1 month because I was out of station. And automatically when I got back and I went to the gym, my mind immediately was like, you know, you haven't worked out for a month. Why not just take it easy today? You know, you haven't worked out for a month and this is a pretty complex exercise and it kind of flexes the muscle that you don't want to flex that much. So why not just take it easy today? And the more and more I thought of this, the more and more I kind of let it take over me, and I kind of left the gym halfway done and I didn't even complete my workout. But this is just a small example of how rationalization in the form of resistance can sort of pull you back and stall your progress. But thankfully there is a solution to this as well, which leads me to point number 3, the 2-minute rule. I once read a quote that I don't remember who it was. I'll add it in the edit if I do find it. But it talks about how maybe flow state is always there and it's just us who's in the way. And that insight is so true, because if you can somehow just find a way to confront this guy and force this guy to leave, temporarily of course, and respond to resistance by just sitting down and doing the thing anyway for 2 minutes, something magical starts to happen. Words start to flow, momentum starts to descend, inspiration starts to hit and all rationalizations become distractions. And day by day, we start recognizing resistance for what it is, and we will resort to doing the things that is right at the moment as opposed to doing the thing that is comfortable. And so this video is simply an unoriginal reminder that resistance is a very natural process and we all feel it, but it can be tackled through visualization, using it to set priorities and the 2-minute rule. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.